Though Michael McGarrigle tells us what he was up to last year.
These are the Comera Mountains in the deep south. The 12 mountains that make up the Comeras form the backbone of County Waterford. County 18 on my trek around Ireland.
5 minutes to the first horse. 5 minutes.
€2, You're 11 to 10 adventure.
This is the sort of countryside you don't mind getting lost in. I've 9 counties left to visit, and among these are the least known counties of Ireland. Very few northerners make it as far south as Waterford, Cork, Kerry or Limerick. I feel like a pioneer entering virgin territory. Waterford's the 5th largest city in the Republic, and like most of the major settlements along this southern coast, it was founded by the Vikings. Waterford's the oldest city in Ireland. It hugs the River Suir, and down by the port is one of Ireland's most historic urban monuments, Reginald's Tower. It's been guarding this coastline for 1,000 years. It was in this tower that Strongbow, the leader of the 12th century Norman invasion, met Aoife, the daughter of the King of Leinster. Their marriage changed the history of Ireland forever. It marked the end of the Viking period and the beginning of English involvement in Ireland. It's also said that King James II of 1690 fame climbed this tower for a last look at his lost kingdom before a speedy departure to France. You couldn't visit this city without calling in here, the home of Waterford Crystal. I'm about to be taken on a personal tour by Louis Flynn, the manager of its visitor centre.
Now we have tours the whole year round, but from March up to the end of October, it's hectic in here.
So what's going on here then?
Here we have the shift, and we're blowing vases down here, and you can see Pat over here is actually remelting the crystal. He's reheating it. He has just received the amount of crystal from the tank furnace, and you can see him, it's in a cylinder form, and the first part is he makes it round, he puts it into a sphere. He'll then blow a little bit of the air into it to create a hollow. He then shapes it again, and then he puts it back into what we call the glory hole, and he'll reheat it again. He'll then bring it out and will blow it into the steel mould.
What's this? What's the running conveyor belt here?
This actually takes it down to the kiln.
This is the blown glass?
This is the blown glass, and you can see the top of it there. That will be cut off. It then goes into the furnace at the end down there, and over a period of 5 to 7 hours, it'll be cooled to hand body temperature. We still cut by hand, and John's skill is a skill that he's learned over a 7-year apprenticeship, and it's a hand-eye coordination. Unlike the blowing, where the blowing is all about the finesse of the breath, this is a hand-eye coordination, and he learns all the patterns of Waterford crystal. He learns how to read them, so you can see the marking, and these are geometric designs we put on the crystal, and he memorizes these so that he can cut the pattern.
I just noticed when he does this, he's looking through the back of the glass. He doesn't look at the cut that he's making, he looks at the back of the cut to see what he's doing. That's amazing.
Yes, but actually he's actually looking through the crystal. It's almost like an optical illusion.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
That's
brilliant.
magic, that.
Yeah. The last area that we're into is in the engraving. This is a completely different type of craft. This is a craft where they will spend 5 years learning the art of engraving, and part of that is attending art school. And then a further 5 years before they become masters of their craft.
How many engravers do you have?
We have 8 engravers here in Waterford Crystal.
How many cutters?
In the cutters there's 200 plus.
This is like creme de la creme.
This is, yes, and it is art. You have to be very artistic, and all they work with is this little copper wheel. That's what they work with a carborundum dust, and the depth of the engraving makes it stand out in 3D on it. Very, very slow, very meticulous, and it takes a long time to make the engraving product good.
I'm now a convinced fan of the workers of this place. Their skill speaks for itself. But before I leave, I can't resist the temptation to have a go. Not bad for a novice, but I had a good tutor.
I'm on my way to a place I know very little about. It's an area called the Ring on the outskirts of Dungarvan. It's a small Gaeltacht where Munster Irish is alive and well. For the people of the Ring Gaeltacht, Irish is their language of choice, and it's under threat.
You can see new housing developments dotted along this coastline. Many of them belong to outsiders who have little or no Irish. In the longer term, they could compromise the survival of the Ring Gaeltacht because the price of new housing is starting to force the locals out. Cabrini de Barra lives down the road in Dungarvan, but her day job is right in the heart of this small Gaeltacht.
You can go down the road there to Dungarvan, where I'm living. You can get a house without any difficulty for about 250,000. That'd be fairly difficult. You get your 3 bedrooms and it'd be nice, yeah. You can pay more than that as well, of course, but you can get a very huge big house maybe for 400,000. But so comparably, the one that costs 400,000 over in Dungarvan would be approximately the one that you get for 700,000 here, and that's something that has to be addressed. You know, there's a huge amount of people who are from the Gaeltacht here who are living down the road in Dungarvan and Abbeyside, and they can't afford to come back. And another thing we'd be looking at is the whole thing of opportunities for jobs. You know, what sort of industry is required in the area to enable those people who live here already to use the skills they've got and to work here in the area or as close to the area as possible. And similarly, those people who've had to move out for whatever reason, jobs, etc., what would be required to enable them to come back?
The Ring Gaeltacht's the smallest Gaeltacht in Ireland. I think with people like Cabrini behind it, the future's assured, for the time being anyway. Time for a knees up and a bit of crack. Every Wednesday night on the stroke of 8, the good people of Ballinduff get together for a hoolie, and strangers like me are welcome. On a Wednesday, nobody's an outsider in Ballinduff. This is the village's Booley House. During the summer months, the locals get together to perform for visitors. It's an evening of traditional music and dance, and I have to say you're slowly seduced by what's on offer here. It's a family hoolie on a grand scale. It's no surprise that many of the dancers end up playing their part in shows like Riverdance. This is a perfect feeder school.
This is where I'd like to have stayed last night, but it was completely booked out, and that's in the middle of the week. This is Lismore Castle. It used to be the home of Sir Walter Raleigh, so you know it's steeped in history.
Lismore was rebuilt during the 19th century by William Cavendish, the 6th Duke of Devonshire. The present Duke still stays here now and again. Adele Astaire married Charles Cavendish and lived here in the 1930s. She was the sister of the Hollywood star Fred Astaire. He was a frequent visitor here. When Adele's husband died, she returned to America, but she came back to Lismore every summer. By the way, Sir Walter Raleigh sold Lismore Castle in 1602 when he was banged up in the Tower of London for high treason.
Well, it's goodbye to luxury in County Waterford and hello to the road into County Cork. I'm on my way to Cove, which has a big, and I mean big, connection with Northern Ireland. Belfast in particular.